Today on Iconic, we have Danielle Amos, who is an amazing mentor to men and women, teaching them the Millionaire Method, how you can get out of your own way and create any result in your life and business that you desire. She is a protege to Bob Proctor, and she is really, really good at teaching those things to notice whether you are holding yourself back and how to actually leap into the future that you desire. We talk all things abundance, money, relationships, and self image and identity. Who are you today, and how are you showing up for the life you desire? Take a seat, have a sip, and thanks for being here. Danielle, this is a magical moment for me. We have known each other for a very long time. We've watched each other through different seasons, phases, and chapters of our lives. And I have watched from a distance, appreciating
Mm.
your evolution, the things that you have immersed yourself in, and the contribution you're making as a result. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do. You're a fabulous leader and woman.
Thank you.
And I feel like one of the greatest, well, at least for me, what I noticed, one of the greatest transformations for you from a spiritual place was working with Bob Proctor. And you have this story that I'd love you to share around writing down and desiring to
Mhm.
be his protege. Would you share that story and let people know sort of the origin of who you are today?
Yeah, so about 2015, I was introduced to this work and I saw Bob on stage. I had no idea who he was.
Mhm.
My mom dragged me to a seminar.
Was it the one in Hamilton?
It was in Guelph, actually.
Okay, because we had him in Hamilton
Yeah, I
around
didn't
that
want to
time.
go.
You
My
didn't.
mom was like, he's reading that book you always talk about, Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, Mom, I know the book. And I kind of rolled my eyes. And she was like, just come. I got you a ticket. So I drove to Guelph. I was living in Toronto. Heard him on stage, and I knew right then I needed to work with him. I knew he knew what he was talking about.
Mm.
Fast forward, so I took his program. Fast forward, it was 2017, maybe the end of 2016. I was in an event. I had some results for my business,
Mhm.
but I had no results as a consultant. I was a brand new consultant. I was sitting at the back of the room, super like felt like an imposter. Like
Mm.
what was I doing there?
Mm.
And there was a poster to the right of the stage, and it was showing the lineage of this work. And it
Mm.
had Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, and then eventually Bob at the bottom. And I was sitting, and Bob was on stage asking us to write a goal. And I knew right then that I wanted my face to be below Bob's. And I wrote, I am Bob Proctor's protege. At the time, there were probably thousands of consultants all over the world. I had
Right.
no business writing that.
Mm.
And I wrote it in small letters and put my hand over top so that the person next to me couldn't see what I had written.
Wow.
So that was, early in my career. And then fast forward, I'm sitting in the inner circle. This is probably 2 years later.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting in a small room, a boardroom, and Bob has the top consultants around the room. There's probably a
Mm.
dozen of us.
Mm.
And I was sharing with him, I said, I just got a contract with an insurance company in the States. And I said, I know you worked with, Prudential. I'd love your advice. And he leans over on the table like he does and really like in my face. And he's like, you're working with an insurance company? And I said, yeah. And he said, you're like my protege. And I stopped and I said, can I show you something? And I had taken a picture of that. And so I had a picture on my phone what I had written in my notebook a few years ago. And he was just like, of course, that's how it happens. You don't know the how, but that's how it happens.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so random how I got the gig too with the insurance company. My assistant, we were at an event in LA. The event had ended. My assistant was in the washroom.
Mm.
She meets a woman washing her hands. And the woman saying how the event was good for her, but she wanted to find love. And my assistant at the time, Shelley, said, you need to meet Danielle. I'm sure she can help you. The woman was leaving for the airport, barely had time to give me her number. She's like, yeah, 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 here's my number. Call me. I called her, helped her. I didn't know what she did.
Hmm.
Turns out she was a big exec for this insurance company and brought me in. And I started working with that company, and the rest is history. I still work with them now.
You still
Yeah,
do.
that was like 10 years ago.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
almost.
incredible. I do feel like great business is done in the ladies'
Yeah,
room.
it's so true.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about Bob Proctor. I feel like
Mhm.
everybody listening would know who he is and know his contribution to The Secret, but talk to me a little bit about his philosophies and maybe also how that's bridged over to who you are today.
Yeah, so the main part of his work, I mean, he spent 60 years
Mm.
in the work and reading Think and Grow Rich every day, and he really studied the mind, and the big part of his work is understanding the paradigm, what he calls the paradigm, and the fact that we are each programmed between the ages of 0 and 7. So that's the main premise, and the results that you're getting right now are a reflection of that programming. Until and unless you change that paradigm, you'll continue to get the same results over and over, and if they go up, they're going to go back down again,
Okay.
right? So that's the big part. Within that, there's a school, like chapters of work. I honed in on self-image. I was
Oh.
fascinated with that topic within Bob's teachings.
Hmm.
Self-image is part of the paradigm.
Right.
For me, it fascinated me that you could actually decide your identity
Hmm.
and become her. I was like, what? Like, no one told me this before.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And I did.
You did. Look at you. And not only did you do it for yourself, what I love about watching you is that you did it for yourself and now you do it for others.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big component to not just your success, but the success now that so many other men and women you work with, right? You work with,
There are some brave men
there are some brave
in our community. A few.
a few, but this like ripple effect that
Mhm.
Bob, I know from my experience with him, started. And I just feel like that writing down protege, you're
Mhm.
literally living that goal. So he guaranteed results.
He didn't, but what they did is they had us track our clients. And so the Proctor Gallagher Institute could see who was doing the work and who wasn't,
Okay.
and who was logging in. So he didn't guarantee anything, but I do.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, 11 years of noticing what works and what doesn't.
Right. And what I find fascinating is now in your millionaire method, you've carried that guarantee over. When you
Yeah.
told me that, it was challenging in some ways, if I'm being honest with you, but not in a bad way,
Yeah.
because I've actually had this intuitive tug and pull around a very similar model where what if someone came into becoming iconic, which
Yeah.
is our brand world, and we guaranteed a result, which I absolutely feel like I could do. Like
Yeah.
I would have no qualms about it. But it's usually when you voice that to someone else, a mentor or a leader, they're like, don't do that. You're setting yourself up for a whole can of worms. And so I've neglected kind of following through, but then meeting you and talking with you and you're like, we guarantee. I find that like I would want to invest in someone who believes that much in the work that they're doing.
Yeah. So we guarantee they'll double their investment or we pay them double.
So
And
good.
I absolutely believe in the guarantee. And I do think it's risky. And I've had lots of conversation with coaches. They're like, but how? Because you can't guarantee the person does the work.
Hmm.
And I said, well, I can guarantee the accountability. And if I can keep them accountable, which we have the systems in place, now they do the work and we
Yeah.
track it.
Right.
If they do it, I know. And here's the thing, they don't even need to do it perfectly,
Yeah.
100%.
So are there terms?
Hmm.
Yeah, because you would have to make sure that someone invests and then invests their time, their energy, and their own personal belief in what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and you said to me that you're seeing people 10x
Hmm.
their investment with you.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to guarantee a 10x
Yeah, very
return
cool.
and on their income. What we see on average is people double and triple their income. And we've seen people 10x their income.
Hmm.
We can talk about what I believe the difference is there.
I would love
And
to hear that.
yeah, so what I've noticed is the woman who multiplies their revenue over and over and over, they're also the woman who is taking the biggest risks,
Mm,
making decisions from the goal achieve self based on desire when there's no resources there, whether that's the money
hmm.
or the people to support them. They don't know the how and they're willing to jump without the net. If
Yeah.
they need the net, they're playing it safe. It's not a problem.
Hmm.
Regulate your nervous system. It's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
But it's like we have the elastic band. You pull it a little bit, it's going to go like flop. You pull it a lot and it's going to go a long
Yeah.
ways. And so
Mm.
I've seen this correlation with the women who constantly, like the women that are 10xing, even 100xing, if we talk about some of
Wow.
Kathleen, easy,
Yeah.
she's brave. She has the courage to jump and jump and jump, and she does it over and
Over.
over and over again.
And so we're talking about Kathleen Cameron, who
Yeah,
many people know, and you mentored her.
I did. I was her first mentor.
Isn't
hmm
that incredible?
she quit her nursing job, was in network marketing,
Yeah.
about $2,000 a month. hmm
And she 100x'd,
Wow, I mean, more
probably
than
even
that.
more than
She's made a
that.
$52 million
Yeah.
company now. So I don't know what that is, but
That's a lot of X's.
right. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, too, like it's a system, it's a millionaire method. So once you multiply your income over the course of the year, it's the same system. You
Mm.
just go back to the start and do it again. You have the
Yeah.
roadmap.
Mm.
And so it's an investment you make once, but you continue to collect a return on that.
Okay.
It's the same information.
So let's talk about the commonalities, because
hmm
you were sharing the commonalities of women and men who are 2x, 3xing, and up to 10x, 100xing
Yeah.
their income. The shared commonality is risk taking. There's a couple things I have this sliver. I didn't notice I had it until you were talking. I think I have a sliver of, it's not doubt. I can't find the word. I'll just explain it. Maybe you
Yeah.
can reflect. So part of me is like, well, I know for sure that that risk is the highest accountability.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to correct myself.
Mm.
Let me dialogue this with you. I
Mm.
think we're going to have a good chat. So I think to myself, well, of course, if you make a risky investment,
hmm
and I'm talking about my personal experience,
Yeah.
that accountability to show up and do everything I can towards that investment is there. So it's not necessarily a manifestation,
hmm
it's that responsibility towards the investment. But as I was talking
Mm.
this through, I thought, well, that's interesting because I have also witnessed people make big investments and not 10x, because as soon as they made the investment, they doubted,
Yep.
made it wrong.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, what have I done? And it was actually impossible for that investment to grow. So
Totally.
I think that's how I just kind of gave a full circle moment of both sides of that equation,
And they freeze, right?
right?
And so I it's so important when everyone when they make an investment, it doesn't matter what it is,
Hmm.
coaching, a photo shoot,
Hmm.
anything, an outfit, they make that investment because they see a potential.
Hmm.
There's a why behind that investment,
Hmm.
and they want what they believe that investment can give them.
Hmm.
And so what happens is they make the decision, and let's say their energy like goes up here,
Hmm.
right? And what you're talking about, if you can hold that energy and stay in the potentiality of that
Hmm.
decision, then you're going to have a great outcome and
Right.
a massive return. But what happens for a lot of people is that they make the investment and then they worry, doubt, and fear sets in. They wobble and they come back here, go, should I, should I, should la 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 la.
Hmm.
And this energy, like you can feel it, it
You can
doesn't
feel it.
feel good.
No.
And so, but they stay in there.
Right.
And I think this is a big problem with the coaching industry is that a lot of coaches, they're really good at showing the potentiality, having someone see the
Right.
possibility, and they make the decision. And then a week goes by and they're not helping their client get back into that energy. And maybe they're not even noticing. So I
Right.
don't think I think the coach doesn't even know. And
Mm.
so the client's in this wobble, and then the investment doesn't yield the return. And I believe it's actually the coach's responsibility. Like I was saying to you, it like kind of pisses me off,
Yeah.
that we're not keeping our new clients accountable to the vision they created when they said yes.
Mm.
The client doesn't know. That's why they're paying you. It's not their responsibility. They don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't need you.
Wow. Wow. You're making everybody better through this like reflection, because you and I were talking before we hit record that one of the practices I have in my business is I actually
Mm.
send a prayer every time. It doesn't matter if the investment's $35 or, tens of thousands. It's this prayer to affirm her that this is safe. You are worthy.
Yeah.
You made a great choice. I've got you. But you actually stretched me this morning, and I learned something through you that I believe I'll implement is you FaceTime those new
I do.
clients right away so that they don't just hear an email, but they actually hear your essence and truth and
Yeah,
sincerity, and they get to come back into that space because you're right. Like, I'm not even excluded from this. Every time I make a hefty investment, you hit purchase and you go,
yep,
what
same.
have I done? Maybe I shouldn't have. Like, we all do that. So if we know that, how can we as leaders support them through that moment?
Totally. So I like to FaceTime and anchor in the possibility. So I have the person actually describe what they see.
Mm,
And it's a vision. We think in pictures. So I have them describe, they take maybe 2 or 3 minutes and they describe it. And then I reflect it back. And as they're talking, I create the picture in my own mind.
mm,
And so through that, you anchor that possibility in. So now
mm,
they've given the vision to me, which means that they have it. They're emotional about it. I create the picture. I can feel the emotion. You
mm.
can't give what you don't have. So it's almost a test that
Right,
they have it enough to be able to transfer it to me. Then I see it and it's like it's done, it's an
it's done.
anchor. And then anytime they waver, which they will,
Right.
it's almost like an expectation. It's not, I don't believe we're using the law of assumption against them. I think it's just a norm that they'll
Hmm.
get pulled back into doubt.
Hmm.
Then we can use that to say, remember that trip that
Yeah.
you're going on when you multiply your revenue. Remember your kids' faces. And
Mm,
we bring that back. And so all of our leaders know that vision and
mm.
we call it a communication sandwich. We communication sandwich them when they doubt, because usually when they doubt, we know the signs. They'll disappear a little bit. They
Yes.
won't show up for a call, or
Yes.
that, they
Yes.
won't share.
Yeah.
And so then that's our sign. Communication sandwich. Let's remind
Yeah.
Susan
Yeah.
as to why she said yes.
Do they ever project back at you? So when you're reminding them of their vision, do you ever find they project back and go, "Oh, you're supposed to say that," or, "Oh, you know what? It's not happening." Like, what do you do in those moments where they're not catching the vision again?
Yeah, I hold space for that. I
Hmm.
mean, that's also normal and it is what I'm supposed to say. And I like to bring back the science, like the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
And the truth is, failure is an option for them.
Yep.
This investment can make them go bankrupt.
Right.
And the best case scenario is an option. And so are the million
Mm,
scenarios in
I
between,
like
and
that.
which one they manifest into their life, which one they attract into their life is dependent on the energy in which they hold as they're taking the action. So it's their decision. I can remind them of the best case scenario and I can remind them of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And then and so I just have a conversation like, what would you like to decide? Because this is, how you respond to this moment determines what comes next. And
Mm,
I can't do the decision making. I can't do the thinking for you. And I can show you what I would do. And I
yeah.
show you the science behind it and the proof.
Yeah.
And then let's experiment.
I like that. Let's experiment.
Yeah. Let's experiment.
Let's
Let's
give it a try.
hold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see what comes next. And recognize that like none of it is a coincidence.
Mm. Talk to me about that. We talked a lot about the commonalities of those who are having success, but there are also those through lines of men and women. I'm
Hmm.
going to speak primarily to women just because that's my experience
Yeah.
of women who hold themselves back. I would love to talk about that. So maybe perhaps somebody listening can
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, I identify with that. Oh, shoot, I feel seen." I would like let's talk about that piece, because there is the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
And what I love, what you just described, and why I want to go to this question is she's making a choice. She's making a choice of her worst case scenario, her best case scenario. So if she's not making the best case scenario decision right now, what are those common things she's saying?
Yeah. And I want to be clear that, like, with the worst case scenario decision happens in the small things,
Mm,
right? It's the moment to moment.
okay.
So it's not just like the big investment decision, it's like how you respond to the wobble. Does that
Mm,
make sense?
yes.
So it's like the decisions that are moment to moment that really make the biggest difference.
Okay.
And so then the woman who, let's say, is constantly, this is a really good example, actually. The woman who's constantly talking about what they don't want, but what
Hmm.
is in their life. So they're complaining or they're telling me what's in their bank account or how this isn't working. And they're like really vocal and they want to be heard.
Mm,
I actually love this.
okay.
And I get quite interesting, let's say, on Zoom, because I really believe I wouldn't be a good coach if I allowed them to complain and be in a negative vibration for very long, because I understand the law. I understand the law of vibration, law of attraction. And in that moment, they're getting so emotional with what is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just simply say, do you want that result?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want that to continue to be the story? Because right now, and it's not a problem if you want it, but if you don't, let me help you.
Yeah.
If you continue to describe the current situation as is, you are literally cementing it. So I want you to see it like, cement, concrete. You're making it more real.
Yeah.
So the more they're talking about it.
It's okay.
Okay.
We're friends. This is Sky, by the way,
Yeah.
everybody. Okay? The real star of the show.
Right. Oh my gosh. He's like actually matching you very well
Yes,
over
he
there.
is.
So as they describe the situation, they're making it more real. And so I say it's like concrete turning to cement. The more they talk about it, the more emotionally involved they get with it. It solidifies into their reality and it stays longer.
Mm-hmm.
My mentor, Bob, he used to say, if you have a cold, what the average person does is talk to their neighbor, their sister about being sick.
Right.
Everyone knows they've got a cold. And he said, stop, zip it. Don't tell people unless you want the cold to prolong, but we're programmed to tell everybody.
Right.
So same kind of thing, talk to a doctor. They're the only one that can help you, and then go to the root cause of the sickness, the cold, your mind. Same thing with your bank account, same thing with your results. So instead, you've got to become really creative and talk about what is creatively, because you've got to be able to view the bank account from your results that you desire, from your goal achieved.
So let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm envisioning her listening to us right now.
Yeah.
And I can even speak for myself. I was $100,000 in debt in 2018-19, and it consumed me. Now I know better, so I could do better, but there are some people who don't know better.
Totally.
So she's completely consumed by her financial situation. And she's hearing you right now and thinking, okay, well, I don't want to keep saying I'm in debt, but I am in debt. How does she make that shift? How does she pull away from the attachment of the debt and start to feel money coming into her life?
Yeah, I've been there too. It's really challenging, and I know that she can do it. So she's got to use an acronym called SNAP, stop. So her first real invitation is to stop talking about it out loud. And as tempting as it is, it's like, I want you to find that saying, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything. It's like, you're going to need to really, and then you overhear someone talking about the economy and you want to chime in. It's like,
yes.
So that's your first step. Stop.
Great.
N is notice for the SNAP. So notice what your thoughts are. And then A is adjust and then proceed. So you're going to just notice, get curious. Oh my gosh, I'm really worried right now. What's the next, this is kind of Abraham Hicks work. What's the next best thought to get myself out of a worry vibration? Well, what if tomorrow a new client comes in? What if, and just start thinking about creating stories that serve you, because we're story making machines. We're creating a story anyway. Right. So create one that is a little bit from where you are, but in possibility. And then you adjust the thoughts, and then you notice what happens in your body. Your vibration starts to change. The feeling in your body starts to change, and then proceed with the action. Now, what I have my clients practice, and this isn't easy, is to speak without lying. So Neville Goddard in Power of Awareness, he says that you've got to view the world from the goal achieved state, from the wish fulfilled, he says. Right. But really it means if, let's say, you're in $100,000 in debt and you just want to see $10,000 in your bank account or $1,000 in your bank account. I've been there. If you had $1,000 in your bank account, how would you view the world? How would you perceive the world?
Right.
What would you say? How would you feel? How would you act? Now, don't act with the money. Leave the money.
Right. We're not
That's not
spending it.
what
It's
we're,
not like
that's
I
not,
would go to Louis and like
right.
that's not the point.
That
It's
isn't the
the
point.
feeling you would have.
And here's the thing, you deal with money all day long. You don't have to go to Gucci and buy the bag to
That's right.
point. You can go to the grocery store and buy your groceries in a
Yeah.
different energy
Yes.
and actually implement this
Yes.
coaching.
Yes. Yes.
Do it in the day-to-day things. So you've got to view the world. So now I've got $1,000 or $10,000 in my bank account. How would I feel? And really think, how would I speak? I wouldn't be talking about the debt. I'd be talking about something different. So this is the challenge. And this is where I have my clients practice is like really think about what changes. Think about the conversation. And I don't want you to go out and tell people you have $10,000 in your bank account when you don't.
No.
And what you're saying about money changes and start there.
Yeah. It really does.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I felt financial freedom and I thought that was going to be equivalent to what was in my bank account. Like I literally thought it was a number. And it happened so accidental. It was a week had gone by and I hadn't looked at my bank accounts. I hadn't looked at my credit card balances. I didn't go spend money. It was that it had no control over my feelings, my presence. I remember just being like, oh, this is the freedom.
Yeah.
The freedom is that it doesn't consume you. The
Yeah.
freedom is that you've learned just to be with it. And the freedom is that I didn't receive and immediately thought, how could I spend? Because that's how I got myself in debt. It wasn't that I wasn't making money. I was making incredible money, but I had no idea how to be with it, how to hold it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really important piece to what you're saying, right? It's not the
Totally.
amount. It's
Yeah.
who are you
Mhm.
with any amount
Yeah.
and even the amount of debt.
Yes. Yeah. I actually love debt. I think debt is such a great teacher,
Mhm.
and debt is a decision to pay something off over time. I
Yeah.
think we can be empowered by debt. It's
Yes.
just that society teaches the opposite.
Yes.
So there's so much shame around it.
That's it.
I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it is either.
Yeah.
I actually say it's just borrowed money for a
Totally.
service you've already received,
Totally.
and you just chose to pay it off. And like how I do, I'm sure you do payment plans.
Yeah.
I do payment plans,
Yeah.
and so it's that choice of like I'll give you a loan, which I think, by the way, just putting this out there, I think payment plans are such a generous offer. We don't have to give them,
Yeah.
but what we're doing is basically saying we believe in you
Totally.
so much that we're willing for you to pay us off bit by bit so that you get yourself in the room and you make this change in your life.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the same thing,
Same.
but we don't
And
look at it the
it's
same.
important to see payment plans as a loan as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's not a, oh, I feel
A
like it today
membership.
or don't feel like it
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I actually did a podcast years ago on that of
Mhm.
the etiquette of a payment plan and the fact that it's such a gift
Mhm.
and to be responsible with that gift.
Yeah.
So let's go into identity a little bit because I want to get into the Millionaire Method.
Okay.
And you talk about identity with Bob and how that was really what called you in.
Mhm.
You and I, by the way, Danielle does an amazing event yearly. I highly recommend you attend. It was one of the most impeccable events I've been to in a very long time.
Thank you.
And you
Means a lot.
actually had me come, which I'm so grateful that you asked. I felt so honored, and we talked about identity. And I feel like it really moved the room, by the way.
Mhm.
But your perception of it and how you teach it is so special. I'd love you to share just that. Like what is an identity and what could she take with her today to start that millionaire method for herself?
Mm. Well, I love this topic. I call it self-image,
Okay.
mainly because of being taught by Bob.
Yeah.
And identity and self-image are similar, but no, I don't believe they're
Okay.
the same.
So let's talk about the difference.
Yeah. So an identity is like a hat that you wear. I have an identity as a mom, as
Okay.
a CEO,
Yep.
and within that identity, I have a self-image.
Okay.
And so the self-image is how I view myself under that identity and how I believe others view me.
Okay. That makes sense.
And so it's a little bit more complex because also there are two types of self-images. There is the outer image that I portray to the world.
Right.
And I was fabulous at this, by the way, when
Yeah.
you and I first met.
Yes.
I felt like I had a great external self-image.
You did.
And what I didn't realize is that the real cause of results is your internal self-image. So how you perceive yourself in your own mind. So it's really, what are you saying to yourself? And I was an asshole to myself.
You were?
I was so hard on myself. Nothing was ever good enough.
Hmm.
And so that actually got the results. It wasn't, I could dress the part all
Yeah, you
day
looked like a
long.
bag of money every time I saw you, just like fabulous.
And if you opened up, and I think this is true for a lot of leaders, if you opened up my mind and you really saw what was going on,
Yeah.
nothing was ever good enough. And I think,
Mhm.
I mean, I see a lot of clients like that are A-type personalities, that are hard workers, that are doing great things, but it's not enough.
Mhm.
And so the results show that. And so your self-image, you've got to take responsibility for what's going on in your mind according to all three levels in which you exist as a human. So your spiritual realm, your
Okay.
thoughts and your feelings,
Okay.
and then the physical.
Okay.
And so the self-image is incorporating all of
I
that.
love
And
that.
here's the cool thing that I learned from Bob on stage that one day. He said, basically, you can create her, like write your character
Yes.
and then become that character. And I was fascinated. I was like, what are you saying? And
Mm.
so I went home and I got to work. I was like, what? Like, I can decide who, like, what's happening in my mind, how I'm speaking to myself. I can decide all this. Like, it's not because of what my parents told me. It's not because of schooling or where, you know?
Yeah.
And so the first self-image script I created was 17 pages. It was so in depth. And then one of the good things, there are two good things probably that came from my marriage. My daughter and this concept, my ex-husband was a actor, and I would watch him get into character. And
Mm.
so I learned from him. I was like, okay, so this is like I'm getting into character. Now we call it embodiment.
Right.
And I practice being her. If
Mm.
I can decide my thoughts and I can decide my beliefs, which are just a thought I keep thinking, then I can literally become this version. And it's not faking, it's actually remembering the truth of who I am.
Ah. So I'm going to interrupt you
Yeah.
because that was what I was like, but is this performative?
Yeah.
Because that's what people are going to be thinking. It's interesting. I can hear listeners when I'm interviewing and I can hear her going, but you're performing or you're faking it until you make it. But what you're saying is, no,
It's a remembrance of the
Mm.
truth of who you are. And I think a big
Yeah.
part of my work is helping women wake up and remember the truth of who they are
Yeah.
before the programming. And the ultimate self image is to remember your oneness with Source, your infinite potential,
Mm.
that you're literally walking, talking God
Yeah.
in human form.
If we remembered that every minute of every day,
Yeah.
how would we behave, the decisions we would make, the way we would greet others, the way we would speak to ourselves, the way we would nourish ourselves, the way
Yeah.
we would have presence with our families. But we're so distracted. And more than ever, I think it's the most difficult time that we've ever been in to be
Yeah.
present, to be embodied because of the level of distraction. So to
Yeah.
summarize all of this, and you've given so much wisdom, I would love to know, the millionaire method.
Mhm.
Who's being called into that room? Like who would be ready to say, I'm coming in, Danielle. This is
Yeah.
this is my moment.
Well, any person who knows that they're made for more but can't imagine working any harder to achieve it. So they
Mhm.
usually we attract the woman and there's a few men, but we attract the person who's already had success and they know that they're made for more, but that hard work paradigm doesn't work anymore
Mm.
for them and they are ready to learn the energetics, the mindset, the regulating your nervous system, learn about money and a system that's repeatable. We get a lot of people, and you don't even have to be an entrepreneur because
Mm.
I offer this guarantee to a teacher
Wow.
where her salary is set and she's like, are you sure? Like I know what I make. And I said, trust me, like the money doesn't come from your job. It comes through the job. It's
Mhm.
energy. So
Mhm.
I don't know how. It's not up to me. It's not up to you. Do the work, become her,
Mhm.
and the money comes. And sure enough, she multiplied her income. I don't even know if she's still teaching. Actually, that was about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And though it came from unexpected bonuses from the school.
And that's, I think, the biggest missing piece for a lot of people is they expect it to come in a
Yeah.
certain way. Like I have to have X amount of clients and then I'll make X amount of dollars or this signature offer. If I have there's so many equations and
Mhm.
what they're doing is white knuckling and gripping abundance
Yeah.
versus being like, I love, and I think this comes from Abraham, surprise and delight. Like that's one of my
Yeah.
core values within the brand and something I live my life through is like surprise and delight me. God, show me how good this gets to be. I
Totally.
love to flirt with God. We have a very flirty
I love it.
relationship. And so I say, like, show me how good this gets to be. Because what happens in that, well, I call it an affirmation and a prayer, is I remove myself because it's
Yeah.
almost like show off for me.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that changed my money story. Is money started to come to me in ways in which I had never anticipated or expected.
Yeah, and I think in those moments, we have to remember to be grateful for the dime.
Yes.
I see a lot of clients who get a new client, like have a new client join and it's $100 and they're like, yeah, but it's not enough to pay the rent. It's like
Yeah.
that dime is more money. That dime is abundance. Be
Hmm.
grateful for that dime that you have right there, that it was at the bottom of your car
Hmm.
floor,
Hmm.
unexpected.
Yeah.
And then there's room for the 10,000, the 10 million. If you overlook that dime,
Yeah.
there's no way
Yeah.
that 10,000's coming.
That's true. One of my greatest mentors taught me that. She said, if we're asking for more money and then we're walking through the parking lot and we walk by the penny or walk by the nickel,
Yeah.
as though like that's not good enough,
Yeah.
you've just said no to the abundance. And I remember that lesson teaching me to stop and notice and the gratefulness for the smaller amounts, because you're absolutely right. How would we be entrusted with 1 million
Mhm.
if we make the 100 wrong?
Yeah.
Like, are you the leader? Are
Yeah.
you the woman that could hold the million, do good with the million, build and compound that million, show other people how to make that million? There's such
Yeah.
a level of responsibility in all that you're teaching.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I think the universe does a good job at showing us through the law of opposites if we
Mhm.
can hold the million. Because usually, when someone has a goal for more money,
Mhm.
they'll get the opposite of more show up for
Yes.
them. And I always kind of chuckle when that happens for a person. You know, it might come with an unexpected bill or even like the scare of
Mhm.
scarcity.
Mhm.
Um, and I believe, like for you, most likely that was the law of opposites when you were in the debt, just
Mhm.
showing up. Can you hold the minus 100,000 so that you can hold the plus millions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've got to be able to hold both sides.
Well, and I'll tell that story a little bit for listeners that don't know, because I think this would be,
Hmm.
something that just affirms everything you've said. Is I was dying on the treadmill, and
Mm-hmm.
you knew me. I was dying on the
Hmm.
treadmill. There was not many people who could outwork me,
Hmm.
but my ceiling, I just couldn't bump up past this ceiling. And the debt was a culmination of overspending, over generosity, not understanding taxes and money. And so there was, it wasn't bad. It just was what it
Yeah.
was. But it held a lot of power over me. But when I was $100,000 in debt, I hired a mentor.
Hmm.
I could only pay for 3 months of the first like year contract, and I sold all the furniture in my basement to be able to do that because I had my credit cards are maxed. And totally irresponsible for
Yeah.
somebody listening in. Like you just wrote a contract and you could only pay for the first 3 months. Like what were you going to do? But I knew who I was.
Yeah.
And within 6 weeks of joining that, I made my first $100,000. I had been dying on the treadmill for nearly 12 years.
And what's so interesting is as that debt felt more and more real for you, I bet you went harder on the
Yes,
treadmill,
I
worked
did.
harder, harder,
I was
harder.
sweating.
And so that's so normal
Yeah,
because we're programmed that hard work equals money.
it's
It's not true.
it's not true.
It's not true. Actually, the harder you work, most likely is like the reason why you're stuck.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
it can feel so
I
counterintuitive.
know.
And that year was the year of hundreds.
Mhm.
So I had $100,000 month. I paid off my $100,000 in debt in one year. I saved $100,000 in a bank account,
Mm.
and it changed my life because, first of all, I learned how quickly things can
Yeah.
change. I couldn't have fathomed in 6 weeks that would happen.
Yeah.
Not a chance. But I believe it was like going back to what you said. I took risk, but I took risk, and I was the woman behind that risk that she could count on.
Mhm.
And I trusted the process, and and it's never gone back. It's been the coolest experience.
Imagine if someone talked you out of that.
Yeah. And people tried, and there was worry.
Yeah.
I remember sitting down with my mom. She still talks about this, and she goes, "I remember, and it was in USD, and I was freaking out."
Yeah.
But she's like, "You were so committed, and you were so determined and sure." She's like, "I just knew I had to be like, I'm here for you if you need anything." And she goes, "And look."
So good.
Yeah. What does somebody do if they have that feeling to go for it and someone says, how could you? We can't, especially spouses. I think that happens a
Yeah,
lot
a
with women
lot.
and their spouse or partner.
Well, there's two answers to that. If it's your spouse, I would say there's probably an investment you made in the past that didn't go so well. So take responsibility for that and have an honest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's your job to communicate and enroll your spouse in the potentiality so that they can believe too.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to do this with my husband. I just, I knew I had made all these investments and nothing had changed. And I said, you can, like, I promise
Yeah.
you can count on me. And I know that you haven't been able to count on me in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and this is different. And I need you to trust me. And I'm actually doing it, whether you say yes or no. Um, I, I, I knew I had to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't explain it other than
Mm-hmm.
I just knew. The second, if you have naysayers around you, which I also did, and a lot of clients do, I have a really good pair of earmuffs. And I often put them on in webinars. And it's like the blinders, you tune out what others say, because it's just like when I showed you before, the worst case scenario is possible and the best. And what you get out of that investment will be what you lock into.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tune out the outside noise in order to lock in your vision?
Mm-hmm.
And if you wobble, communicate with your mentor, like tell them, I'm worried about that. Like, hold
Yes.
space, help me
Yes.
build this vision. Like, be honest with it. You paying for mentorship, don't hold it on your own. You're not meant to. And if the mentor isn't able to, then perhaps enroll some of the people in the program with you.
Oh, I like that.
Yes,
That's
the
a great,
community, right?
yeah.
To all hold each other accountable to staying in that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. So, where would someone find you? Where would you love them? I mean, first of all, I just feel like it's inevitable and obvious that they should come into the Millionaire Method because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain
Thank
through
you.
your leadership, through your proven personal success, and all the amazing people. I know quite a few of them. They're spectacular.
Thank you.
They're
Yeah.
just great people, and as a result of everything you're teaching, and it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
So really, like, I don't understand why anybody wouldn't do that. Where would they come find you, hang out with you?
Yeah, the best place is Instagram.
Yeah.
We got some bots in there that will give you some value as soon as you start to follow and comment. And then I always come in and send you a voice note or a message. And I'd love to hear what resonated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have questions, I'm here, and let's go.
You're fabulous.
Thanks, Jen. So are you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.